Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So, Sibat, the stability in motion, we can give a very simple analogy as to how it actually is in the physical world, and through that, we learn as to how Sibat works within the inner world of the soul and psychologically. If we have certitude that we have to get from place A to place B, and we have certitude that whatever we have at our disposal is only meant for us to journey from A to B, then in that case, there is a stable feature that no matter what happens, under all circumstances, we have to journey from A to B. Let us then explain this in simpler words. Let us say we are journeying from town A to town B with the best automobile or the car or means of travel. Now, Thibat means to constantly be on the move. We are not looking at the money that will be used in filling up the car. We will not hesitate to use that money to fill up the car in order to keep the car moving. Once the car gets damaged, we will not hesitate to repair that car. If the car gets broken, we will not look at the car and cry about it. Momentary pain will come there, but the Thibat aspect would prompt us into moving once again. So we will say, okay, it's broken, we will get another one and we will move on. Or we will get a different means of travel and move on. Our aim is to constantly move, not to stop. If we stop at the services, we enjoy a little break, but then Thibat means we only stop to the extent that assists us in our motion. Similarly, when we stop, we remind ourselves that actually enough is enough, we need to move on. So there's only one constant facet, and that is motion. That is that is the meaning of Thibat. Because I'm convinced that I need to reach point B, and that is my whole goal. And everything is expendable in for me getting to point B. Now we can look at this in very practical terms. So for example, when people die around us, it's a momentary setback for some, in which they get stuck in that event of death of a very close one. But inevitably, they're supposed to pick themselves up again and say, look, I need to carry on moving. It's my journey. I need to get to Allah. That is my faith, that I need to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sometimes people die, and the death and the grief caused by it just enhances the motion to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But at other times, it actually stops the motion and stagnates the wayfarer. They're supposed to remind themselves. Similarly, when we have victory, gain, passes, we become so happy that we become complacent and we stop traveling. Here we need to again say no, we need to be stable, we need to keep on moving. The joy of this achievement cannot be so overpowering that it hinders with my motion. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says this in the Quran. He says, there is nothing that afflicts you within the earth or within your souls, but that it's already been prescribed in a book prior to the creation of the earth and to your own creation, so that you may not be overly joyed at what comes to you, nor be grieved at what leaves you, so that you may realize that stability in motion is the only objective. These things, gain and loss, is a part and parcel of the world in which you exist. And it makes perfect sense, because the physical world in which we exist is in a constant state of change and flux. It is evolving as we are. Since this world is changing, it will impact and affect every single thing within the world. There is no stable feature in this world except for motion. Civilizations will come into existence and they will go out of existence. People will take birth and people will die. There will be sickness and there will be health. There will be poverty and there will be wealth. It will constantly change. As Allah says, Inna ma'al usri yusra. With hardship there is ease. There will be constant change, constant renewal. The thing we need to understand is that amidst this change, we ourselves have to change. We cannot become stable in the sense of stagnant, in the sense of wanting stability in this world, wanting health, wanting life, wanting wealth. None of these features are to remain. The only stability is in motion. We need to come into sync with that reality and begin to move. And we need to become stable in motion. We cannot become stagnant. The nature of this world is one of motion. The only thing that defeats our journey is that in this world of impermanence and change, we seek permanence in the sense of freezing the world in a slide, as it were, and that doesn't happen. The only right attitude is thibat, stability in motion. The only right outlook is to become and becoming, and we are the only subject that is under question here, that we are the people who bring stagnation, and we need to start moving and remain moving. So thibat means a constant state of motion, evolution, a constant state in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows us to reveal our potential. Now, Allah says in Surah Al-Imran, when He talks at length about the people fighting in the Battle of Uhud. Now, of course, we'll explain this as we go along in other chapters of this work. But Allah says He brings about tests in order to reveal what is hidden within the souls, so that we may examine ourselves. Now, as soon as we examine ourselves, we should not frown at what we find within ourselves. We should not be appalled and we lose our confidence. It is for us to say that this is where I stand, I need to move on and become better and refine myself. So all these tests are meant for us to reveal the hidden potential within ourselves. It might be something that is bad, but it is nonetheless an opportunity that we look at it and we convert it, and we will talk about this further. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali tayyibin at-tahirin.